So thank you, HP Diversity Program, for sponsoring this session. Moderating our panel today is Ms. Courtney Taylor, the Senior VP of Community Development for Veritex Community Bank. We have LaMecia Butler joining her. We have Tiffany Williams, Creative Director of Twice Media Production. Ingrid Robinson, President of Houston Minority Supplier Development Center Council. And then we have lastly Terrell Smith, which is the Global Supplier Diversity Program Manager for HP. So please give a warm welcome to our moderator, Ms. Courtney Taylor.
Good afternoon. Oh, good afternoon. Okay, everybody, come on in. Come on in, take a seat. Take a seat. Get your pens, get your pads, get your notebooks, whatever you may need, because we're giving game on this particular session. Okay? I know game's been given all day, but it's like game that's about to be given. Okay? Like game. I would like to go ahead and welcome my panelists on up to the podium, please. Ingrid, Terrell, Tiffany, come on up. We got our iPads out? Laptops? Okay. We're going to start off by just doing a quick intro for each of our panelists. And we're going to start with Miss Ingrid. Let me turn around. Yeah, no worries. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Ingrid Robinson. I'm the president and CEO of the Houston Minority Supplier Development Council. We are a private nonprofit organization that represents minority-owned businesses and major corporations and governmental entities. And our organization brings the buyers of those entities, the corporations and the government agencies together to meet minority-owned businesses that they can do business with. So we facilitate certification that I'll talk about, and then introductions to connect you to your end users and major corporations and governmental organizations.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tiffany Williams. I am the CEO and Creative Director for Twice Media Productions. We are an event video production company located right here in Houston, Texas. And we primarily work with corporations, large-scale nonprofits, and government agencies for their event video production. We also do full service video marketing campaigns on the external side and training videos on the internal side. And we've been in business for 10 years now, and I'm really excited to share with you all today about how I've been able to build my business through certifications and government contracts and corporate contracts, and my participation with Ingrid's organization, HMSDC.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is LaMecia Butler. I am a program manager for Meta, which you may know, Facebook, Instagram, so Meta. I work on our global supplier diversity team. I've been in the supplier diversity space for over 8 years now. I've worked on supplier diversity for the Super Bowl, both Super Bowl 50 in the Bay Area, and then also I was the director of community relations where I oversaw Super Bowl LI's Business Connect program here in Houston.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is Terrell Smith, and I serve as the Global Supply Diversity Program Manager at HP, where we focus on ensuring that our global supply chain, inclusive of both indirect procurement and direct procurement types, are inclusive of the communities that matter to HP, particularly marginalized and underutilized communities, both in the United States and abroad. So it's definitely an awesome opportunity to be here to engage, and excited for this conversation.
So we got an all-star lineup, okay? They like save the best for last. No, I love all y'all. No, I'm just kidding. So we're going to start off. Ingrid,
Yes.
Please tell us, if I want to get certified, what does that look like? What are those steps to take to get certified through your organization or your other chapters?
Absolutely. So the Houston Council is part of a national network called NMSDC, or National Minority Supplier Development Council. So I have 22 other counterparts who represent the entire United States. And the first part of the process as a minority-owned business is I encourage you to go to what we call our pre-certification workshop. And it sort of walks you through the documentation we're going to be asking for, why we're asking for it, what is it that you need, and the process. So it begins with completing an online application. You'll have to submit supporting documentation because part of the certification process to ensure that your business is 51% owned, managed, and controlled by one or more ethnic minorities. We consider minorities to be Black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, Asian Pacific, and Native American. And so our certification is specifically sort of the private sector's certification of minority-owned businesses. And so the major corporations come to us to ensure that the businesses we introduce them to can perform what we call a commercial useful function. Other words, you know how to do what you say you do, right? So they're looking for us to ensure the quality and the understanding that you're not only owned, managed, and controlled, but that you understand your business and that you can do the job that they're looking for you to do. And so you fill out the paperwork. There's a virtual site visit where we go through and ask you questions. That's where we're sort of testing your knowledge of your business, what it is that you do, how you got started, types of projects you've worked on before. All of this information gets reviewed, and certification can happen in as little as 30 days, and on the most part, around 45 days or so. We have a committee that meets to review the files. Nobody knows who serves on that committee because we don't want anybody trying to influence the committee members. And so they meet once a month. So depending on when your application comes in, it could come in faster or it can take a little longer, right? So if they meet and your files come in immediately after they meet or the week they meet, it's going to be another 30 days before the committee meets and review it to process the certification. But once you become a certified, what we call MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, you're then able to do business with the major corporations. You go into our database. You're searchable not only by the companies here in Houston, but the companies nationwide. So as part of our network nationwide, we have about 17,000 minority-owned businesses and over 900 major corporations. Every brand that you can think of is part of that network. So 2 of my customers are on this end.
Okay.
And so we work with them to identify minority-owned businesses that they can do business with. So part of what we do is not just that certification. That's sort of what I call your ticket of entry. That's just the first stage, is to get certified. But once you get certified, then you have to begin to utilize the network to be able to meet them, develop relationships. People do business with people they know, trust, and respect. And so we are working to create those opportunities for them to get to know you and develop a relationship with you, understand what it is that you do, and connect you. So the first step is certification, filling out the paperwork, and providing all the supporting documentation that we require. So I'll give you an example so you don't get sort of freaked out when you do it.
Hold on. We gonna go into
gonna get
that.
back to
Yeah,
that.
we gonna
Okay.
go into that. But y'all heard what she was talking about. I heard stuff about relationships, and then I see Ingrid as a connector.
Yes.
Okay, a connector. I do want to hop into one of your customers, I guess, on the panel. Or maybe, well, let's see. Is that Terrell, possibly?
Yes. Terrell and
Okay.
LaMecia.
So Terrell, talk to us a little bit about HP's dedication to diversity as a whole and the whole supplier diversity strategy, especially since you are all a global company.
Absolutely. So, number one, I think one of the major things, and I failed to mention this when I was giving my introduction, but I've been a part of HP for about 2 years now. And one of the things that really impressed me, particularly as a millennial, is the fact of the matter that HP has had a long-standing commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in every arena of the company. So number one, and you'll hear this a little bit later on today, but from a supplier diversity perspective, HP has actually had a formal supplier diversity program since 1968.
Wow.
So long before this became mainstream, HP thought it wise, prudent, and pragmatic to invest in ensuring that our supply chain was diverse and inclusive, particularly of our employees. on that note about employees, one of the things that is really, really impressive that we set as a target is that by 2030, we want to be recognized as the most sustainable and just technology company in the world. And so there's a roadmap that we've established in order to do that. And number one, we focus on our employees. So one of the things that we made sure that we set as a target is that we wanted to make sure that our board of directors at the very top of the company were diverse and inclusive. And so I'm happy to be able to share to you all today, for those of you that don't know, that HP's board actually is 46% women and 46% minority. So when you compare us to our peers in the industry, we really stand head and shoulders as it relates to ensuring diversity at the very top. Additionally, we've taken this really, really serious as it relates to our hiring. So one of the things that we established is that we wanted to make sure that we were hiring a significant percentage of our workforce here in the United States with diverse and particularly ethnically diverse persons. So last year, actually 45% of all of our hires in the United States were ethnic minorities. So this is just a few examples from the broader corporate DEI perspective as to where diversity, equity, and inclusion matters. As I mentioned earlier, I'm over our global supplier diversity program, and so one of the things that we're really excited about is, our corporate response to the unfortunate murder of George Floyd was that we wanted to make sure that we took a hard look at ourselves and how we were being inclusive for the Black and African American community. And one of the things we realized is that our direct spend with Black-owned businesses was abysmal. It was not anywhere near where we wanted it to be. So we set a goal that within 2 years, we would increase our spending tenfold. So 10 times spending with Black and African American owned suppliers from calendar year 21 through calendar year 22. And I'm happy to be able to report that we actually increased it 13 times. So that's something that we're really proud of. And we are now in the process of figuring out, okay, what does this look like for the long term? We didn't want it to just be a once-in-a-moment inflection point response, but we wanted to make sure that we were sustainably setting up KPIs and metrics to make sure that we continue to invest in the Black community. In addition to that, just really quickly, our broader diversity program from a supplier diversity perspective actually this year has reached $800 million worth of economic impact here in the United States. So we're really excited about the fact of the matter that we're being able to make the progress that we set forth as a part of our 2030 vision. So that's just a couple things. Another fun fact, just really quickly, is that
Terrell.
Yes, and this is the last one. I think it's relevant for the topic of certification. We were not just a member of the NMSDC, which is the parent organization for the Houston branch, but we also were a founding corporate member of the NMSDC back in the 70s. So this certification conversation is really, really important, and I'm glad that we were able to create a space to have this because it's essential for those of you that are entrepreneurs trying to figure out how to scale your business, particularly with Fortune 100 companies.
All right, thank you. Miss LaMecia. Hello. Tell us, how do we work with Meta? How do we work with the good old Facebook?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
And I see cameras recording, so this is a safe space. So I'm going to tell you the real, because I've been in this space for a while. So it is not easy to break into companies like Meta. I won't say I'm speaking for you because you have a number of talking points that are great. But I'm gonna talk to you from a perspective of corporates in general. So one of the things you have to do, and you will have to suck this up, you will know that when you meet a supplier diversity professional, they're gonna ask you to register in their portal.
Absolutely.
That's like number one. And yes, you will probably go through that countless numbers of times, but the reason why they're doing that is because unfortunately, we don't always have the best data sharing within MSDC. Not saying our local partners aren't great with us, but we are trying to find those suppliers so that when we need easy access in our systems on the day-to-day basis, when our partners come to us internally and say, I need X, we need to be able to find you. So that's number one. I would say some corporations require you to be certified. Meta does not, but we highly encourage it because of the reasons that Ingrid has just mentioned, that we know that you are vetted, that we can trust, that you can do the work, that when we put you in front of our stakeholders, that's important. The other thing that you need to do is you have to be able to talk about your work. So you need to have your capability statement. You need to have a presentation ready so that you can talk to whomever you're speaking to about the work you're doing. And you need to be a subject matter expert in that. I have sat in meetings where we started out talking about marketing, and then they were telling me they could build an app for transportation. I did not need that. I needed you to be great at what you first came into this meeting to do. So just making sure that your business is well positioned. Someone else talked about your website, making sure that you have a functioning website so that when I need to send that link, I know that my partner will be able to see that. So it's getting all of your ducks in the row so that you can have that conversation, so that I can take that information and move on to the next part of my purchasing process. So that's, in the short, that's the first steps to doing business with Meta.
I heard be ready. Be ready. Have your stuff together and be ready. Okay, so Miss Tiffany, Miss Media Advocate of the Year. Y'all, Tiffany just won a great big award from the SBA and from SCORE for being Media Advocate of the Year. Okay?
Thank you.
So I want Tiffany to talk from a perspective of being that minority certified business and talking about how your business has grown and what's developed since you've become certified.
Absolutely. So I got certified many years ago through HMSDC. I want to say 2014, 2015. At the time, I also got certified through the WBEA, which is the local Women Business Enterprise Alliance. Their national chapter is WeBank. And I was advised by business owners at the time to get certified through the agencies because I was looking to do business with larger organizations. I started off as a one-person shop. I shot my videos, I edited my videos, I did everything on my own. But I realized that I didn't want to do that forever. I wanted to grow and scale my business, and I needed a way to work with larger companies. I didn't want to shoot brides and their mamas, quite frankly. Weddings, weddings are very lucrative, don't get me wrong, but it just was not for me. Even though I went straight into entrepreneurship out of grad school and I've never had a traditional job before, I feel my personality worked more corporate. And so that's what I feel like I needed to do for my business. And so I made the decision to get certified. And like Ingrid said, that's just step one. That doesn't guarantee you a contract. But I was fortunate to very early on start working with very big organizations. And it's helped my business grow because I've been able to get in the door and be able to put them on my website or my resume, with their permission, of course, to show, okay, I have the capacity, because that's another piece that you need to have when you're working with larger organizations, is the capacity to actually fulfill the work order. Because all of us say, you know, I want to do business with these big companies, but they're expecting you to deliver at a certain level of excellence. They're expecting you to deliver all of your deliverables on time, and they're expecting you to do what you say, like Ingrid said, what you say you can do. And so all of those things are major when you're working with larger companies. So for me, it was just deciding that I wanted to do that, and it's definitely helped my organization grow over the years.
So, Tiffany, I heard a lot because you're saying, you know, making sure that you have capacity, making sure that you can deliver. Because if you think about if you can't, that's your reputation on the line, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we got good reputations out here.
And not only your
Building these
reputation,
businesses.
but the supplier diversity professional that brought you in, because they're putting their name and their reputation on the line when they give you an opportunity, and you don't want to make them look bad because you didn't do what you said you had the ability to do.
So I'm going to go back to Ingrid because she started telling us everything what we need to know, right? And so one of the things I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into is like, okay, I got certified, so what now? Like, what does that look like? And I know you are a connector, but really going and like digging, how do I really find those opportunities? How do I find those, you know, proposal opportunities? How do I know U of H is looking for somebody to do marketing for them? How do I know Cisco is looking for X, Y, and Z? Like, what does that look like?
So I would say the next stage is to get engaged with the council, right? So the more we know about your business and your capabilities, the more we're able to share. So what they come to us for is not a list. It is what we know about these businesses and what they can do and bring to the table. So I first met LaMecia when she was doing the Super Bowl, right? And so she said, we have these opportunities, this is what we're looking for, and we're looking for minority firms that can do this work. And so we wanted to make sure that we told them about how to register with them. So we are a information source. Corporations and and major corporations and governmental entities send us their procurement opportunities. And then we send them out to you. We do what we call sourcing. So if they say, I'm looking for somebody to do videography, I'm looking for somebody to shoot some drone footage of something, then we say, give us very specific guidelines on the specifications of what you're looking for, and we're only gonna send you those people that can do that work. But some of the tools that we have as an organization that we launched this year is we have a very public database, and I encourage all of you guys to go register yourselves in this. But it's called diversebusinessfinder.com.
What is that called again?
diversebusinessfinder.com. You can go on there and register yourself as a minority-owned company. It has all of our certified firms. We're putting some of the WeBank firms in there. All the ethnic chambers are in there. The veterans organizations, because what we heard from our customer was, I'm tired of going to 6 and 7 different databases to find businesses, right? And as Tiffany mentioned, she was certified by both WeBank and NMSDC or the HMSDC. So then they had to go search those, then they gotta combine them, then they gotta take out duplicates, and then they gotta try to find out information about the firms. So we created this database that is publicly open so that it was utilized for the Final Four. It's gonna be utilized for FIFA. Just yesterday, one of our corporate members, Live Nation, had an event over at 713 Music Hall and talked about a festival they're bringing to Houston. They talked about specific contracting needs, and we're like, we're looking to meet you today. They had the people who were able to sign contracts there yesterday. And so we sent out the information saying, hey, they're coming. This is the date, time, you gotta be there. Then we targeted and we called people and said, you better be there, right? So, because we want them to find the suppliers that they're looking for when they come to us. And so that next stage is about using the council, developing those relationships with us and with our corporate members and other MBEs. I think some of the things that is often overlooked in what I would call sort of step 2 is developing relationships amongst yourselves. So when we talk about how do you build capacity, it might be that you can do part of the work, but there's another MBE that can do the other part, and you guys can team together in order to be able to meet the needs of that client. And so we talk to you about how to do that, questions you should ask, so that you make sure it's a good relationship, right? That you're coming to the table, y'all have the same work ethic and understanding of delivering on time. Because if you have somebody you're partnering with that delivers late, it affects your relationship and your reputation as well. So come to us for understanding of things like that. We also talk about training and development that we offer. So if you are new and you're not sure how to approach corporations, we have different programs, one called Supplier Idol, that talks to you about how to go pitch yourself to a corporation. We want to make sure that you're ready, because you only get one chance to make a first impression. So you don't want LaMecia going, I don't want that person coming back to me and talking to me, because they're not ready, because they went from one end of the spectrum of what they can do to something else.
Right.
Or going in and asking a question, what is it that you need done? I can do that. That's the first way for them to tell you, thank you, goodbye. So we help you to understand how corporations do business, where to find those opportunities, and we publish them and we connect you to those. So you are right by saying we're connecting. Our tagline is that we're corporate America's leading connector to minority business growth, because it's not about just connecting you, but we want to grow minority-owned companies. So we want to make sure that we move from what we call a class 1, which is a company with less than $1 million of revenue, to companies that we call our class 4s that have over $50 million in revenue annually. So we have businesses across the spectrum, and we meet you where you are. And we have programs and different developmental tools to help you to fill those gaps where you are as well, because they got to make sure that you not only know your business, but you understand when they talk about ESG,
Right.
that you know what is ESG.
Right.
And what am I going to be asked to provide to them? So we help you to understand the terminology of procurement in a corporate environment, and then how do you tailor that for your company?
So I heard reputation, I heard relationship, I heard partnership, and I heard be ready.
Yep.
Because there were
Development.
opportunities yesterday that folks in the room probably could have got.
Yes.
Okay? Like, yeah, I saw it posted. Okay. So it goes a little bit back to going to the businesses and pitching yourself or your business. What does that look like for those companies that maybe don't have the supplier diversity programs yet? And you're like trying to break in and you want to, you know, pitch your business. What does that look like? And if anybody on the panel can take a stab at that.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe you can share from your experience and then I
Yeah.
can add.
Well, as I mentioned, I got certified pretty early. So I started my business in 2012, at the end of 2012, and then I was certified by 2014, I think. So for me, I did it early because I knew I needed that development. Because I didn't have a lot of job experience, I didn't know what I was doing, quite frankly. And so by getting my certification, not just the certification, getting the developmental programming that the council offers. And I forgot to mention earlier that I'm also certified through the city and through Metro and through pretty much anybody that will give me a certification, I got it. So if an opportunity comes, a RFP,
Contracts.
RFQ, whatever, I'm able to submit my bid because I have all the certifications and I'm ready. I'm ready.
She stay ready.
So I would say definitely get some type of foundational business knowledge so that you can be ready. Because there's also programs, if you're not quite ready to get certified, maybe you can go through the Houston Area Urban League Small Business University. That I took that program in 2013. So Goldman Sachs. I took that program in 2019 or 2020. One of those years. I've taken every program, okay? I have every certification. I take every program because I am a sponge. I know that I don't know what I don't know as a business owner. And so I invest my time in being better, learning and understanding what the companies that I'm trying to do business look for, what they want, what they require. So honestly, I wouldn't say do it without that training because you're not going to know. Corporations especially are looking for specific things, like safety is big with a lot of them. The ESG that you've talked, all of those things are critical. And if you don't, like even the insurance that you have to come on a lot of those campuses, if you don't know that, they're going to pick up on that immediately in your pitch and they're not going to do business with you. First impressions are everything, as Ingrid said. So I would say if you're not quite there, get the training. There's incredible free resources out there that can help you position yourself to go in front of a corporation so that you're ready and able to deliver on, again, what you said you can deliver on.
Yeah.
Really quick.
I want to add. I think that it's also important if you never know where the opportunity is going to come from. So you always need to be asking what a customer or a potential company, do a lot of research. So they always tell you, don't go to HP and ask them what do they do or
Please don't.
or what's their next
Please don't, y'all.
or
What do
what's
we
their
buy?
their next initiative or where their innovation coming from, right? They want you to do your homework and know more about who they are before you do that. And then you talk about their pain points. What are your pain points? Our organization is a place that you can go to and say, hey, I'm going to be having a meeting with HP, and I'm trying to find out a little bit more about them. And we can tell you what we know, where they are, what we know that they're doing, and what their expectations of you are going to be to help you get better prepared to be able to do that. And sometimes, I'm going to say I'm the only, I know I look really young, but Tiffany has been dragging me, literally dragging me into sort of social media and technology. And I'm like, well, can't you do that for me? I don't know how to post. So she sent me, I'll just tell y'all a little funny story. So she sent me something and she asked me to repost it on something. And so I told her, sure, as soon as you tell me how to do that. So she was like, oh, Lord, and she sent me the instructions. But I'm a potential customer, right, that says this is not my forte, and I need to reach younger entrepreneurs. I have the knowledge of how to do that, but social media, that kind of stuff and marketing is not my forte. So being able to come and say, let me show you how I can help you. Let me show you how what I do and how videos can improve the amount of people who are paying attention. So I also apologize if I keep looking at my phone. We have a golf tournament on Monday, and so my staff keeps emailing me, or texting me. But because of some of the social media work that Tiffany did for us, we are way over capacity. So every time we turn around, a corporation is saying, I have a team, and they're like, Ingrid, we don't have no more spots, so what are we supposed to do? But I hadn't used that before, so she said, let me come up with a whole strategy for you on video marketing that I never even would have thought about doing myself.
Okay, I want to dive into something else really quick. So I'm going to toss it back to Terrell. Terrell, HP, we know y'all global. We know y'all doing a lot of different stuff. Can you give us maybe a couple of examples of a few companies that y'all have worked with that have been like some special projects that you may have done in this particular space?
Awesome. So I'll take it this way, because sometimes there is confidentiality as it relates to specific names of suppliers. But
Okay.
I want to call out our marketing team because, again, when I talked about us increasing our spend directly with Black and African American owned suppliers, the marketing organization under the leadership of Vikrant Butler has been, and also Tara, who is here with us, have been very key champions in focusing in on this effort. And one of the things that we made a decision about is that we didn't want to just focus on spend with Black-owned suppliers singularly. We wanted to look at our entire ecosystem and see how can we be leaders of change and influencing those companies that we do business with that aren't diverse owned, that aren't Black and African American owned. So one of the things that marketing did is that they actually looked at their top 10 agencies that they had from a spend perspective, and they went to each of the agencies and said, hey, listen, from now on, we want at least 10% of the teams that you have working on HP business to be Black or African American identifying people. And this has been something that has been really taken on by our agencies. I believe out of the 8 that were selected, 7 actually have met that standard within 1 year's time. And so this is, I think, a great example of how companies like HP, companies like Meta, companies like, a lot of companies in the tech space are looking at how do we make sure that we're not just increasing our direct spend. That is really important, but our relationships with these suppliers that we know we're going to be doing business with for the foreseeable future, how do we make sure that they're showing up as partners with us as it relates to our diversity initiatives and our sustainability initiatives? And another example that I'll just give pretty briefly is our legal team has done a very similar approach to marketing, and one of the things that they actually instituted was among the top law firms that we do business with, and we're talking mega $1-million engagements, we actually require that at least 10% of the actual personnel that's working on those accounts be Black and African American identifying attorneys. And so these are some of the things that we're doing as it relates to really making sure that we're creating change throughout our industry, not just in the work that we're doing, but the work that our suppliers are doing on our behalf.
Thank you, Terrell. So, LaMecia, I was going to ask you a question about Meta, but I actually want to change it up a little bit because I know you done worked on plenty of Super Bowls. And so I want you to talk a little bit about that opportunity because not only did you provide support to, so many different nonprofit organizations, but you supplied support to, minority businesses and those opportunities there. And so you've done that in Houston, but you've also done that in, was it San Diego?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. So these programs have been going on for some time now, and they probably still are going on, I would assume.
Absolutely.
And Super Bowls every year, so these come about all the time. So what do I do if I want to work with the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'll give you that answer, and then I am going to talk a little bit about medicine.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
No. But Super Bowl. So actually, this is one of the great points, and actually, this is what I was going to say for the what do you think about at the end? So, one, special events are your gift. These happen, as Ingrid has mentioned. We have FIFA World Cup that's coming to Houston. We have the college football game that's coming to Houston, and they've already put out their by Houston Supplier Diversity Registration Form. This is going to happen in every major market where you see a major event company coming, likely there's going to be even the NFL drafts. They have added the Business Connect program to there. So when you hear about these major events, you need to find that local host committee website and look for their supplier diversity program. It has been such a great honor to see how these programs are now staying within those cities and within those markets. So in LA, one of my colleagues from the Atlanta Super Bowl, she's actually there working for the Sports Commission, and they have now turned that into a function of their Sports Commission where they have a supplier diversity program. So we at Meta, we actually partner with them, and we're bringing people in to talk to those businesses about marketing, but also to talk to them more about supplier diversity and if we have any opportunities in the LA area. To that point, like, we are global as well. We spend over $1 billion with diverse suppliers across the globe for our work. But it is one and the same in that everyone is looking for the suppliers who can do the work. And as people start to understand how important it is to talk to people within culture, we at Meta have seen a great shift as well in terms of working with firms who can talk to Latinx audiences and to Black audiences specifically, and making sure that we're developing things that work. So when you see our Black History Month campaigns, those are designed by Black firms. We have Black firms across the country. We have 1035 in Chicago. We have This Is BN that's based in LA. We work with a number of firms. I can name them. I do the marketing and communications for our team. You can also follow us at Meta Global Supplier Diversity, and we actually have some tips about how do you prepare with corporations and conversations with corporates. So feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram there.
So it was Meta Global Supplier Diversity?
And Meta Global Supplier Diversity.
Okay, I hope everybody wrote that down. Okay, so I have about like 2 minutes, y'all. And I gotta ask Tiffany this last question, because Tiffany is our business owner on the panel that when it got certified, and I just wanna know, like, can you give those some advice that's on the fence about doing a certification or thinking about doing it? Like, tell them what they need to know.
You need to absolutely get certified. If you're looking to do business with larger entities, such as corporations and government agencies, because as LaMecia said, some companies may not require it, but they strongly recommend it, because what certifying agencies do is vet you. And so it gives the buyer, the person in procurement making the buying decision, a little bit of ease knowing that you've already been through some sort of vetting process, so they can at least trust that you're a viable business option, right? And so for me, it's been very helpful for my business to go through that so that we can be ready for those opportunities. And a point that I left out earlier about just getting started is, and it's been mentioned up here already, but you can partner with other people. So maybe you're not ready or you don't have the capacity to be a tier 1 supplier, but you can come in as a sub. So look for larger organizations, create those strategic partnerships. That's how I did it. So I'm fortunate to now be a tier 1 supplier on projects, but there was one point when I didn't have the bandwidth to do that. So I found larger communications firms and said, hey, can I be your video arm when you go after this RFP? They put me on there. They're obligated to have a certain minority spend. And so you know you're going to get at least this much from that contract. And of course, you have to deliver and all of those things. But by being certified, you open up a lot more opportunities for yourself. I've heard a lot of business owners say that they want to service smaller companies because they're a small business. They understand, they want to help, they want to give back to the community, they want to do it for the culture. I get it. But if you want to be able to help them at a real level, you have to have the capacity to do that, right? And so it's important to go after those larger contracts, if that's in your business model and that's what you want to do, so that you can have the ability to help smaller companies if you choose to down the line. But if you're a small business trying to help a bunch of other small businesses, it may not be sustainable as a business, just being quite honest. And so if this is a path that you are considering, you absolutely want to go and get certified. And it is a strenuous process, don't get me wrong. I had to, because let me tell y'all, in the state of Missouri, they don't put your race on your birth certificate, which is where I'm from. So I had to get like my great-grandmother's death certificate to prove to the council that I was Black. But they have these vetting processes for a reason, because they, again, are putting their reputation and their job on the line by saying, okay, this is a viable company that we recommend you do business with. And so it is a long process, but luckily the council has ways to help you get through that process, which I took full advantage of. And then once you recertify, it's not hard at all. It's just, you updating your stuff and making sure your information is current and all of that. You have to get an affidavit signed or whatever. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So go through the hard process now, get it out of the way. And it's really not that big of an investment. I think the price varies at whatever level your business is. So if you do X amount of dollars, if you're a tier 1, I think you pay like $250 or $300 or something.
Yeah. It's gone up, but it's gone up to 400 now.
Oh, my bad.
Wait, but I want y'all to go do your homework.
Well, yeah, but
This is where y'all go on the website.
That's still nominal in comparison to the value that you get from it. And again, it does not guarantee you a contract. You still
Correct.
have to do the work in
Correct.
building the relationships, which takes time. There are companies that I've been trying to do business with for years, and it wasn't until, for whatever reason, I wasn't able to get the contract, or I went after I'll tell y'all, and it's public information because it's on their website, I can announce it. So we just secured a contract with the Port of Houston, but I have gone after so many RFPs with them and been denied every time. And I finally got my foot through the door, but I was persistent and I kept doing it. And RFPs, whew, they take a lot out of you. But you do it and you understand that it's gonna take time. But if you set your sights on something and you say, I wanna do business with that company, I wanna do business with Meta, keep trying and just get better and better so that you are ready, so you don't have to get ready.
All right, so get ready so you don't have to get ready.
Or stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Stay ready. Stay ready, stay ready, stay ready. Okay, so that was a lot of information, y'all. Like, a lot. Ingrid, I got 1 minute.
I promise. So these are some dates I want you to be aware of, right? So we have our expo, which is October 11th and 12th. It's going to be on ExxonMobil's campus.
This is for Houston, though, y'all.
Yes, it's for Texas. It's Texas's largest minority business trade fair. So all of the major corporations and Fortune 500 companies and governmental agencies will be there. They will be there to meet you. It's like going to a flea market, but reverse, right? So the corporations are in the booths, and you are walking the aisle going to talk to the companies that you're interested in doing business with. So there's also one-to-one sessions where you can go, and if you're providing something they're looking for right now, you can have a meeting scheduled. So we would send, let's say it's Terrell who is, they have buyers who are looking for specific things. He gives that to us. We source it and say, here's all the companies we have that does that. They will vet those, look at your capability statement and say, here are the 2 or 3 we want to meet with. And then you get a 15-minute speed date with that company to start that talk and that relationship building. So October 11th and 12th, you don't want to miss Expo. Like I say, it's the biggest minority business trade fair. And then the Urban League, I'm going to give a shout out to them. They have their national conference.
Yep.
Now, we're all in the fam.
Yes.
So they have their conference coming. You don't want to miss the Urban League conference. You're going to have access to a lot of those business owners there too. So look for things that you start seeing that are minority business related. And then in terms of benefits for certification, as she talked about, if you're certified with us, we have processes to expedite certification with the other entities. So if you get certified with us, you can then go, the port accepts our certification. Metro has an expedited process for you to get certified with them because you have ours. The city of Houston has a process similarly, and then we're working on finalizing the one with HCC. And we are a certifier for the state. So once you get ours, you automatically get state certified to be able to go after opportunities with government agencies for the state of Texas. So make sure that you go to those events.
All right, y'all, that's a lot of information. It's a lot of great dates. I hope y'all took notes. I hope y'all connect with the local affiliates, because I know everybody is not here from the Houston area. But I would like to give a nice round of applause to our panelists. Thank you, Ingrid, Tiffany, LaMecia, Terrell, for all your great insight this afternoon.